Yeah, I think this should work now. Sorry for the technical difficulty. I was saying that there's so many routes that I can take with my team this week. It's quite a tricky week to navigate in terms of transfers, in terms of even the captaincy, in terms of the injuries. The price rises have been very volatile. I've somehow held off making a transfer till now, but then again, I'm not sure which route I'm taking. I was hoping that waiting till the deadline would give me some sort of clarity. But even after the press conferences, I'm sat here in a position where I don't exactly know what to do. So if you have any questions, please start sending them over. I will be here for the next 30 minutes, and I will try and answer your questions to the best of my ability. The first question is from It's Timpsy. Is Thiaw a good option? I think he was a good buy a couple of weeks ago when Newcastle were playing at home to Spurs and Burnley. But from now on in, the fixtures aren't exactly great. So um, I think he's okay to hold. I don't think he's a hard sell, but I don't think he's a great option to have at this point in time, simply because the fixtures aren't great and because his DEFCON numbers have not been as high either. I mean, he was very unlucky last week against Burnley when Newcastle conceded late on, but apart from that, I feel as if there are better alternatives available right now if you're looking to invest elsewhere. For example, uh, Hincapie from Arsenal is a good pick. He's a good short-term pick for like 2 to 3 weeks. Nico O'Reilly from Manchester City is another good pick. So I would find it struggle. I would sort of struggle to find a way for Thiaw in my team personally, at least at this point in time. Please keep sending in your questions, guys. Coming to Arsenal, I think Timber is someone who needs some discussion. Timber is very widely owned. In fact, he was a very popular buy in Game Week 14, Game Week 13 as well. When Gabriel got injured, a lot of people got him in, and he hasn't really delivered according to expectations in recent weeks. And now he's a bit of an injury doubt this week. So he did travel with Arsenal to Belgium to play in the Champions League against Bruges, but he was actually pictured in training the day before, but he was not named in the squad to face Bruges. So that was a bit alarming. And Arteta, being as helpful as he is, he simply said today that there's no concrete update, and we will get to know in a couple of days. We will see how he feels today. So basically, we have no info. He's probably a don't buy, don't sell at this point in time because he can easily start, but then again, he easily might not, which is why I don't think he's worth buying. Next question is from the Endu Wanderer 3699. Mbeumo to Bruno. Yes, I would do that move. In fact, Ruben Amorim just had his press conference like half an hour ago, and he sort of mentioned that there's a slight doubt over Mbeumo's availability for that game as well. So they're trying to get permission for him to feature on Monday before the AFCON. I'm confident that he will be fine, but even if he is, I still think that Mbeumo to Bruno is worth a transfer. I've been saying it for weeks that Bruno is actually a much superior pick than Mbeumo because the guy just has too many routes to points, whether that's defensive contributions, penalties, chance creation, bonus potential. I mean, you name it. And to have that sort of guy who's going to play 90 minutes week in, week out, who basically never gets injured, is quite a huge luxury, especially in the festive schedule. So Fernandes should come in for me. He's rightly the highest scoring mid in FPL at the moment as well. Next question is from D Jota 2014. Rice or Eze, who for Enzo? I don't have Saka. I don't think I would pick either Rice or Eze. I do think that pretty much at all times we will get three better options from Arsenal available. So I won't buy Rice or Eze because that would lock myself from going to the third Arsenal player of my choice. I think if you're looking for an Enzo replacement, and I believe this question is actually quite popular given Enzo's ownership, I would probably consider Szoboszlai. Now, Szoboszlai has been Liverpool's best player this season, and he's on penalties. We saw he took a penalty against Inter. Now, granted, Isak wasn't on the field, but Isak might not be on the field again. He actually he's nursing a knock. So that's just good for Szoboszlai's potential this week. And given how good Liverpool's fixtures are, Szoboszlai is like a really good player to own. I'm considering him for my team myself. I'm not sure whether I'll go there because the caveat here is that Szoboszlai is on 4 yellow cards, and obviously, if he gets a yellow card, he will be suspended for a game. So I don't think I would necessarily go out of my way to buy Szoboszlai. But if you have a perfect placeholder in Enzo, then that is quite an easy transfer, I think. But Szoboszlai is a really shrewd buy in the coming weeks. Next question is from D Jota 2014. If you don't own Saka, would you captain Haaland or Bruno? Well, my vice captain is Bruno Fernandes. I think that should answer your question. But I would try and look at a way of bringing Saka this week because I genuinely believe that he's the best captaincy option given how bad Wolves are. So whenever I'm making these transfer decisions or captaincy calls, I tend to look at odds or underlying data. But I just watched Wolves against Man United the other day, and Wolves were so bad that eye test just gave me the confirmation bias I needed to make my captaincy decision. So that's what I would lean towards. I think Haaland versus Palace away, especially, is a tough fixture. I would probably go for Bruno if you don't have Saka or if you don't have a route to him. Rice or Doku, I don't prefer either. I would just look at Szoboszlai if you're looking for a midfielder in that price bracket. Summit is asking who is the best Senesi replacement. Now, I have Senesi still in my team, and I am contemplating who to sell him for. I assume a lot of people over here have Munoz as well because he's very, very high owned. So let's just discuss best defender to buy this week, best defenders. Now, Timber was obviously at the top of the list before this news came out that he's a bit of an injury out. So obviously that excludes him from the conversation. I would probably look at Hincapie. I think Arsenal, given how good their clean sheet odds are, it's like they're close to 60%, which is mental for a Premier League game. They're usually not that high. From memory, I can recall them being close to 50, but 60 is very, very high. And rightly so. I mean, Arsenal are playing at home. They're the best defense in the league, and Wolves are yet to hit double digits for goals this season, and they're like the worst attack in the league. So a clean sheet is kind of on the cards, which is why the odds are in their favor. So I think Hincapie is fine. I do think that Gabriel will come in approximately close to the new year. I'm not exactly sure which game week. Could be game week 19, could be 20. Hincapie should be fine for the next 3 fixtures at least because the only left-footed centre-back in the Arsenal team. So I would look at him because he's secure to start the next few fixtures. If, let's say, you already own triple Arsenal, and let's say if you're already on Raya, Timber, Saka, in that case, I don't think I would sell Timber because he could easily start. I think in that case, I would probably look at Nico O'Reilly. Now, Nico O'Reilly is playing West Ham at home next week. Sunderland as well after that. Fixtures are all right. Forest after that as well. This week, the fixture stuff, so it's not the best entry point, which is why you're not hearing a lot of O'Reilly talk in the FPL circles. But O'Reilly generally is a very solid player to own in the coming weeks after this game week on. I mean, he's already had 4 attacking returns this season, and he did score in the Champions League against Madrid as well. So we've seen him show his attacking threat time and time again. Next question is, how would you line up if you were on a free hit and your overall rank is 2.5 million? What Ekitike for Haaland, for example? I think I would just pick the team I think would score the maximum points. I don't think my rank would influence what team I select. I think I would probably, let's say, go with double Fulham defense and Raul as well. I think the Fulham guys will be quite big differentials for you. Playing away to Burnley, obviously Fulham are expected to win. So maybe I'd go someone like a Leno and Anderson because he's good for DEFCONs, and go with Raul as well. I would obviously have Fernandes. I would probably have Haaland because Haaland is super consistent. I would definitely have Saka. I would have Hincapie. I would probably have another Arsenal defender, probably Ben White because he's the most secure after Hincapie to start this week. I would look at Szoboszlai for sure as well. And yeah, I would probably have one of Mbeumo, Cunha as well. I think that would probably be close to what I select for a free hit team this week. Next question is Nico O'Reilly or Cash for the 5th transfer. I don't think I would consider Cash. I think Nico O'Reilly has much better explosive potential, much higher ceiling. So I would go with him. FPL Trini is asking Semenyo a week early. Do you disagree? Uh, it's actually quite funny because a lot of people are actually selling Semenyo at this point, but I don't necessarily disagree with what you're saying because Semenyo against United's defense is bad. I would expect Semenyo to get something in this fixture, and then Burnley at home next week is obviously the carrot that you're chasing. So I like it, honestly. It depends on who you're selling and who you're buying in the combination of transfers that you're making, but Semenyo is fine. Next question is Mbeumo, Senesi, and Munoz out for Bruno, O'Reilly, and I assume this is Hincapie. Yeah, so I mean those transfers speak themselves. I think they're quite obvious. I mean, I wish I had simpler transfers to make as simple as those because they're very straightforward. Keep sending your questions. I'm still here for another 20 minutes, so I will try and entertain as many as I can within that time period. So get sending your questions in. And if you're liking the video, please like the video and subscribe to the channel as well. Apart from this, I think there are other few points which are worth discussion. We've discussed the free hit. A lot of people are on a bench boost this week as well. I think on a bench boost this week, the likes of, let's say, the Brentford guys become important. So, like someone like a Sepp Vandenberg in the defense at 4.5 million. He's a good enabler. Raul is a good enabler on a bench boost as well. I would probably look at these options in order to give me like 15 starting players this week. Another player I actually forgot to mention the free hit was Dango. Now Dango Ouattara is scheduled to go to the African Cup of Nations next week. And that's going to be a time when Shada is going to be back from suspension as well. But his minutes this week are actually going to be really, really strong because Shada is not fit. And if he plays up top with Thiago, then, I mean, the whole world and their dog owns Thiago at this point. So to have that bit of an edge over the free hit chip, I think going with Dango is fine as well. I think that's another transfer that I particularly like. A lot of people are also asking whether it's worth triple captaining Saka this week. It's an interesting one because I just said that Wolves are terrible, etc. I think I will probably reserve the triple captaincy for Haaland because it seems like the sort of chip which you reserve for like the extremely, extremely safe and explosive choice. The worry with Arsenal is that, Arsenal could be 3-0 up. Saka doesn't have any involvement. He gets taken off for Madueke. While with Haaland, obviously, that there's a very good chance actually that he's rested next week at home to West Ham because they have the EFL Cup fixture in midweek, and I don't think Haaland plays that, which means that he then just starts the Premier League fixture at home to West Ham, and I think he has immense ceiling that week. I think I would rather bet on Haaland at home to West Ham rather than Saka at home to Wolves. I mean, as bad as Wolves have been, if you look at the underlying data of the season, West Ham's XGC over the course of the season, XG conceded is actually terrible, worse than Wolves even. Next question is from Fabio. Do I start Van de Ven versus Forest or Richards versus Man City? Possible def cons for Richards. I think obviously Spurs will have the better clean sheet odds. It's tough to say. I would probably just go with the DEFCON guy, I think, because I am confident that Forest will score. So maybe it's worth going with the guy who's likelier to get the DEFCONs. FPL Trini is asking Timber, O'Reilly, Van Dijk, Lequa, Anderson. Would you agree with Timber and Minted and Hincapie and Semenyo? I assume you own Szoboszlai. I think if you own Szoboszlai, then I think these transfers make sense. But I think if I'm buying a midfielder, I'm buying Szoboszlai this week. Otherwise, it would be, Semenyo would probably get something against Man United, but who's to say that Minte doesn't get something against Liverpool? I mean, that's also a possibility. If you look at Brighton's data against the top sides, they always tend to produce like very good XG against all the top teams. So I would expect Brighton to score a couple of goals in that fixture. And I think I need to be convinced that the upside this week is worth the transfer from Minte to, let's say, Semenyo. Next question is been riding Ndiaye. Best to get rid of him now rather than next week with Chelsea game in Game 16. Yes, I think Ndiaye's race has run. He's been a very faithful and loyal servant for a lot of managers who own him. I own him for a good while as well, but I feel as if now he's off to the AFCON and the fixture away to Chelsea isn't great. So it feels like a very convenient entry point to get rid. Steve is asking, is Raul Jimenez an option this week? I think Raul Jimenez is definitely an option. I would look at him in a 3-4-3 potentially with Haaland and Thiago, especially if you're on a bench boost. I think that structure makes a lot of sense. So a lot of people can sell the likes of, let's say, Mark Yu and get Jimenez in order to have 15 playable players. The next question is on top of my question. I will be burning 4 free transfers out of 5 of these moves to set up my squad. Mateta, Mbeumo, Senesi, Munoz out for Thiago, Bruno, O'Reilly, Hincapie. What do you think? Yeah, I think I would make those transfers. I think you can maybe even wait on the O'Reilly one. Maybe something like Senesi to O'Reilly can happen next week because O'Reilly's fixture this week isn't great. And I assume that you're benching Senesi as it stands anyway because you're getting Hincapie as well. FPL Thomas is asking, hey, big man, do you mind DSCL as a second forward? I can do one to Thiago. Posted poll on this, and Bullet Wisdom would like to know your personal thoughts. My personal thoughts are that I think I would make those transfers, the ones you mentioned, defender to Hincapie and DCL to Thiago. I just don't see a world where DCL is going to become optimal. I think that's the word you can relate to in the weeks to come because Thiago and Raul, as I mentioned, are alternatives. If you don't have the funds to go to Thiago, you can simply just buy Raul. But because you're in a position where you can get Hincapie and can get Thiago, I would do that. But I'm actually more sort of curious to hear which defender are you selling for Hincapie, because I'm actually in a similar position where I don't know which defender to sell. It is quite a tricky week for defensive transfers for sure. FPL Rooney is saying, I don't own Szobo. Was planning to get him in Game Week 18. I guess I can do minted Szobo and roll 4. I just think that Semenyo has pens and a higher ceiling versus Man United and Burnley. Saves me a transfer next week. I would argue that I think Szoboszlai is more of a nailed transfer in Semenyo in the weeks to come. Semenyo could or could not be a transfer in. I do think that Szoboszlai will be a transfer in. So if you're buying a midfielder, I think I would probably just bite the bullet and get him in right now. That's what I would recommend. But this transfer that you mentioned, minted to Szoboszlai, assuming that you have nothing better to do, then obviously I think this is fine to make. I'm actually in that position where I have to sell Senesi to Hincapie, and I could easily just roll the other 4. But I am now sort of contemplating whether I need to be moving one of my midfielders to Szoboszlai, or whether I'm just fine doing Senesi to Hincapie and rolling the other 4, which obviously feels a bit, let's say, passive, but it might be the way to go. I mean, Tarkowski is someone I also have, and I see a lot of people are selling Tarkowski this week. I'm not really sure what to make of that because the next 2 fixtures are bad. But with my team, I can afford to bench him this week and even in the next. So I'm wondering if it's worth swapping him just to be in a position where, let's say, I can sell Anderson to Szoboszlai, because that would save a transfer in and out with Tarkowski. Guys, please keep sending in your questions. We still have 10 more minutes in the stream, so please keep going. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel. If you have any comments, please let me know in the comments as well. Still waiting for further questions. Yeah, I mean, coming to my own team as well, I think in the coming weeks, I see a lot of transfers in from my team. I'm just not sure how to structure them. For example, I think O'Reilly is someone I would want potentially next week. I think in Game Week 18, I might want to get someone like a Dewsbury Hall as an enabler. By Game Week 19 or 20, I would probably want Gabriel back. By Game Week 18, let's say, I might even want Szoboszlai if I don't get him in this week. So there are a lot of transfers in that I want. I'm just not exactly sure how to structure them in a way which works best for my team. Next question is from Jordan. I'm using my 5 free transfers, taking out Mbeumo, Ahmad, Delit, Van Dijk, and Donnarumma, and to get Raya, Wilson, Bruno, Anderson, Timber. Thoughts? Uh, yeah, I mean, my thoughts are that, in fact, I was going to address this very shortly as well. I think a lot of people seem to get a bit overexcited with the number of free transfers that they have available. Now, generally, I'm more of a risk averse manager, so I have rolled to 5. I think once or twice in my FPL career. It happened like in Game Week 10 this season as well. Um, but because people are more trigger happy and people like making transfers every week, it's very rare for people to find themselves in that position where they have 5 free transfers. So they sort of just want to spunk as many of them as possible in 1 or 2 weeks. I don't think that is the best strategy. I think um, I would actually try and structure my transfers in a way which is a more optimal for my team. So something like, let's say, Van Dijk out is not something I would personally consider in my team. I think Van Dijk is a fine hold. In fact, when you look at some of the numbers this season, Liverpool over the past 6 weeks they have a XG conceded of like 5.7. They've conceded 10 goals, and if you look at a bigger sample size over the course of the season, um, Liverpool have practically the same XGC as Palace, yet Palace are looked upon as this very solid defense, while Liverpool are looked upon as a very poor defense, even though the numbers are effectively the same. And the only difference between them is variance. One team is overperforming, the other team is underperforming. So I think Van Dijk is fine to keep. I think you can sell Mbeumo, Ahmad, Delit, even Donnarumma. I think is okay to sell. I would definitely get Bruno, and I don't think Timber is a buy at this point either, unless we hear like any concrete news that he's in training. But even that, I'm not sure will be enough, because he might still not play even if he is in training. FPL Thomas is saying, I have so many options. It is DCL to Raul, or Senesi to Hincapie, or Minted. And one of them, I'm leaning towards one of the first two moves. What makes it difficult is that you also can do some of these moves in combination with one another. So I think what I would do is that I would probably rate them in order of priority, as in 1, 2, 3, which ones are the ones that you absolutely need to be making. And then, once I do the one, then I will consider whether the second one is worth a free transfer or not. And that's exactly what I'm sort of trying to figure out with your team as well. I think Senesi Hincapie, or even Laquata Hincapie, is fine. DCL Raul, I think, needs to happen. I agree with the priority transfer that you've set. Mintes to Szoboszlai is not as big of a priority, I think. But I guess it would probably be third on the list as well. And yeah, I mean, if you're looking for funds, then Vandenberg is fine as well. So it's basically like I've been taken back to my mathematics lecture of permutations and combinations in grade 6 again, and we have to look at, because the optionality and the variety of options is so big with the 5 free transfers, that obviously it is quite challenging to figure out. And I actually think that this is actually one of the most toughest weeks to navigate, because the way you approach your team this week will then set you up for the transfers in the coming weeks as well. Next question is Palmer or Foden on a free hit. I don't think I would pick either. I think Foden's fixture is a bit tricky. So despite his form, I don't think I would probably go there. And Palmer's minutes are just up in the air as always, so I don't think I would do that. FPL Thomas saying, I'm planning on using just the one FT. But it means playing one of DCL if not going Raul, or Torque if not getting Hincapie. That does not look good. I think I would probably use 2 free transfers in your position then, because I assume that you're compromising a bit on your starting 11. FPL Rini is saying, don't see a word where Semenyo is not a transfer next game week. See my full team for reference. Raya, Dubravka, Timber. Okay, so that's the full team. Minter to Szobo this week. Still locks at least 2 FTs next week. So with Timber a doubt, that's why I'm thinking of getting Hincapie to free up funds. I would argue, how will you get Semenyo then? So if you think that Semenyo is an absolute locked transfer, are you willing to sell, let's say, Saka for him next week? Because I assume you won't be selling Bruno. I assume you won't be selling Foden. What is your route to him next week. And if you don't have a clear route to him next week, are you then just forcing the transfer in this week just so that you might not, let's say, have to sell Saka next week? Is that correct? Jordan is saying, using your tactics, I'd be over budget by 1.2 million. Is there a way I can send you the screenshot of my team? I guess you can send me your team over here and I can have a look. I'm here for another 5 minutes. Any questions, guys? Just be quick with them. We have the last 5 questions remaining, so I'll try and answer as many as we get them, obviously on a first come, first serve basis. Regarding your question, it's Timber and Minte, Hincapie and Semenyo. Yeah, I mean, while you think that Semenyo will be a transfer in, I'm also a bit worried that he also might be transferred out immediately after that because the fixtures for Bournemouth aren't good. Now, remember, I know that he's obviously on a different level to someone like a Senesi. I'm not comparing them both, but what I'm trying to say is that why a lot of people are selling Senesi this week is because they feel comfortable with Bournemouth's fixtures outside of that Game Week 17 fixture at home to Burnley. And that's why they're comfortable getting rid, because they're like, they don't want him for the long term. And if you're buying Semenyo this week, I'm applying the same logic in the sense that then you might think that he's surplus requirements in Game Week 18. So are you then booking in further transfers then at that point to maybe do Semenyo to Szoboszlai in 18? Any updates on Rice? I mean, knowing Arteta, there was no concrete update on that one, so it's difficult to say. Asad is asking which keeper to bring in under 5 million, Sanchez or Kelleher. I think I would probably go Kelleher. I think if you're looking at a cheap defender this week, and by cheap I actually mean like dirt cheap in terms of like 4.5 million-ish. One of the users, I think it was FPL Thomas, he mentioned Vandenberg. I think I agree with that suggestion. I would probably go for a Brentford defender because the fixtures from now on in are really good and they offer good value. I don't think I would pick Collins because Collins is on 4 yellow cards. So I would probably look at someone who's a bit more long-term. Wayfaring, this last question. Munoz, Mateta, Senesi flag. I don't have Timber and Muno in my team. I own Raya, Saka, Enzo, Mateta, Thiago, Haaland. What should I do? I will get back to you on this very shortly. That brings us to the end of the stream, guys. Thank you very, very much for tuning in. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you like the video, and I wish you all the best for the game week ahead. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.